Ugly, the kid next to me said. I was used to all the insults by now. The ugly one had become my name. Sometimes even adults call me that. Do you really believe anyone will care for you? You'll be sent to the army, just like the older kids. They were probably right. Nobody wanted to take care of the sick kids, but they were dismissed from duty due to their health. But me, I was in perfect shape. Nobody wanted the old kids either, but I was only 12, just old enough to be sent to the front. A couple of years ago, at least they'd just give me some dishwashing duty, but now they needed every soldier they could get. I was afraid of being sent to the army, but surely at least one old couple would show empathy and take me in. Sadly, that didn't happen, and a month later I was at the front, ready to make a stand against the enemy lines. You're so ugly you'll certainly scare the enemies to death, one of my war partners said. But truth is, I myself was scared to death, and death was all around me. But by some miracle, I survived, battle after battle. It took me a while to get promoted for the first time. I didn't have the charisma to be leading a team, but in the end, I did get promoted, and after that first promotion, I climbed the ranks at crazy speed. By the age of 19, I had become one of the toughest soldiers, a brilliant strategist, and known by every man on the battlefield. Then, General Kun, the leader of the kingdom's armies, died in battle. He was a brave man, loved by all. His successor would have a tough job living up to his name, and that successor was gonna be me. The king himself asked me to meet with him. I was so nervous. This could only go wrong. He would see my face and then he would declare he'd never want to see me again. But he didn't. I entered the room and there he was, on his throne. We had a long talk. He said he heard a lot about me, about my exploits, my fame, my face. The leader of the kingdom's armies had to be a man with authority, which the soldiers could look up to, and a malformed creature like me couldn't be that man. So he told me I could be the next general, on one condition. I was to wield the golden helmet at all time. He had already let a special helmet be forged for me, and a young lady brought it to me. I held it in my hands. I looked up at the king and knew I wouldn't have a second chance. I put on the helmet and swore never to take it off. And so, instead of the ugly one, I was known as the army's greatest force. We were failing. The shimmering army had taken more ground than the kingdom could afford to lose. My soldiers were losing hope, and the morale was at an all-time low, especially when the rumor started that a traitor was amongst us. The rumor might have been spread by the enemy, just to weaken our ranks. It could have been just a soldier's story to explain the successes of the shimmering army, but it could also be true. I needed something that would inspire the troops again, and I had an idea what that could be. I requested an audience with the king, and being his army's general, I met him the next day.
You're my army's greatest force. I know you can lead my kingdom to victory, so I don't understand. What are you doing here today instead of being on the battlefield?
My king, ever since the news broke out that a traitor was among us, my soldiers have been struggling. The trust is broken.
What can I do about that? You're the general.
Well, my lord, I am in search of a way to inspire the troops, and I thought of one thing that might bring their morale back up. A weapon of legends, from a glorious past when the kingdom dominated all his enemies. I wanted to ask if I could use the first power sword. The king was unsettled.
My grandfather's sword?
I was nervous. Sir, I.
My grandfather would be furious that we dare mess with his heritage. But we are in a period of crisis. I think he would understand. For the good of the kingdom, permission granted.
I will make good use of it, sir.
I'm sure you will. You'll find it in the crypt, my grandfather's tomb.
Thank you, my lord. I wandered through the long crypt under the castle. It was dusty and cold. I arrived at an open space towards the end of the crypt. A golden tomb with red paintings stood there, brightened by the dim light of the moon going through a small window high up on the wall. King Azuel's tomb, also called the Warrior King, one of the greatest knights Arcade has ever known, and wielder of the first power sword. The sword was one of 14 swords, but it is said that 13 others have been destroyed by evil forces. There were many legends surrounding this sword, some false, some true, but nobody had seen it in the last 25 years. I remember my early days in the army. The others didn't really want to speak to me, but I heard them talk multiple times about the force of the wielders of the power swords. I snapped back to the present as I heard someone behind me.
Well, well, well. Seems like you have found the sword. I'm afraid I cannot let you take it.
I recognized his voice even before turning around. King's most loyal mage? It is the king himself who sends me here to retrieve the sword.
Yes, he told me about that. What a chance, really. I can't imagine what my masters would have said if you got away with this.
Your master? You are the king's most loyal mage.
I am not the king's most loyal mage. I am the most loyal mage, and my only loyalty lies with my master. Now, give me the sword.
I can't believe it. You're a spy? You're the traitor? We trusted you. I'll tell the king of your treason. Even if you get the sword, you'll be done for. You'll never set foot in this castle again.
Oh, I highly doubt it. For that to happen, you would have to get out of this room alive.
While saying that, his hand started glowing pink, and just as he shot a magic bolt aimed at me, I jumped behind King Azuel's tomb. Mage, this is madness. Stop this.
I must destroy you, and the sword for that is my master's will.
As he said that, he jumped and floated swiftly over the tomb, turned around and shot another bolt. I jumped aside, but it hit my arm. I felt searing pain, like being stung by a bee and punched at the same time. I had to get out of here. He prepared another spell. I quickly turned around and tried to hit him, but he dodged, jumped backwards, floating a good 5 meters away from me. That gave me the time I needed to try a daring escape. I ran through the long crypt. I was almost at the door. Then a pink light filled the whole crypt and the doorway collapsed.
You didn't think you'd escape me so easily, did you? You underestimate my power, soldier. Only a few mages and witches can rival with me. There's a reason the king has me in his courts.
Well, maybe you are the strongest mage of the kingdom, but I am the army's greatest force. I stormed back in the crypt towards him. He was surprised and quickly shot a bolt, but missed. I was just a couple meters away from him now, but instead of jumping him, I shoved King Aethel's tomb open and grabbed the first power sword. I looked up, but he wasn't there anymore. Behind me, a whooshing sound. A huge bolt hit me in the chest. I was propelled against the back wall. My whole body was hurting from the impact. I could barely stand up. I was still holding the swords in my hand. That weapon needed to get to the front. I needed to be there for the soldiers, for the kingdom. I needed to win this battle. My body was slightly shaking, but the adrenaline eased the pain and sharpened my reflexes. I had one try. I had to hit him with the sword now, or he'd kill me. Well, my friends, that was it for the first episode of Spectre, a Monster Club story. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Demi and Robi for voicing the king and the most loyal mage. They've done an incredible job. If you'd be interested in voicing a character or you just want to have a chat, you can join the Spectre Discord server, for which I'll leave a link in the description. If all goes well, these episodes will come out twice a month. They'll be about 10 minutes like this one. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope to see you again. Bye bye.